We have our position picked out. We're all ready to go. Our gate's prepped and ready. The next thing is going to be body position. You see a lot of beginner riders on the starting gate, on cement starting gate, leaning forward, expecting it to wheelie or whatever. And that's fine. On dirt, you need to be on the front of the bike. But here on concrete, we're trying to get as much traction to the rear wheel as possible. To do that, we get our weight back on the bike more. I'm kind of exaggerating by leaning back. That's almost what you do. You keep your feet in front of the foot peg still, but you get back on the bike. By doing so, you're going to get a nice smooth launch instead of just spinning and lighting up the rear wheel. Also, another factor that's going to come into play is throttle control. Where dirt, you pretty much hold it not wide open, but you hold it open so you can get out of the gate as quick as possible. Here on concrete, you're going to have to use a little more throttle control. Something you're going to need to practice before you line up. I use about a quarter throttle when lining up, and I use it to just jump out and use the torque. Try to get out as fast as I can without lighting up the rear tire. As soon as that rear tire spins, I'm losing traction and I'm getting beat by the guy next to me. As soon as I get out in front of the gate, that's when you kind of have to lean forward when you get on the dirt. And that's when you do crack the throttle wide open and try to get to the first turn as quick as you can. It's a hard transition point because you're going from no traction to a lot of traction really quick. It's something you need to practice, and it's not something that's going to come real easy and quick. I mentioned with the throttle that I like to hold it between a quarter and half throttle. When the gate does drop, I'll give it a little more gas in conjunction with the clutch, all in one motion. But when I do that, I don't want to crack the throttle wide open because it'll light up the rear wheel. The best way I can describe it is almost when you're driving in snow or mud. You want to ease on the gas and have good throttle control. That way you get some traction. It's the same concept here. You don't have very much traction with the cement, and you just try to ease it on. The quicker you can get out and the more controlled, the faster you can get onto the dirt and really get on the gas. 10 feet out of the gate, I try to keep my elbows up. That way I can get in front of whoever, assuming I got a good jump out of the gate. And I try to click through the gears as quick as possible. I don't want to over rev because that way I'm not using the most power that my bike has. So don't over rev, shift as quick as you can, and look forward, look for that first turn. Worst comes to worst, you get a bad start, that's when the fun begins, I guess. You got to start looking for openings that you can make up your lost time. You got to look for pileups that are coming. And more importantly, you just got to figure out how to get up front. And it's a tricky thing to do, and it's a lot easier to get a good start. Another thing people like to do is to light up the rear tire, get it hot and warm and sticky. The more you play with it, the more you'll find that it does help and get you out in front of the gate. It does give you more traction. And trip the bike. When I say trip, practice a few starts. Just jump a little bit with the gas, and you can get where you want your throttle to be at, how much clutch you can use, and how quick you can let it out. Just play with it because each gate is different. Do that a few times, and then get ready for the gate to drop. Then you'll be ready. Those are some of the things you can do to prepare yourself for a concrete start. One of the most important things in racing is starts. And when you line up, you roll into the gate, the car goes sideways. It's really important that you're calm, you're breathing, and you're ready to go. A lot of people, they get so revved up that they quit breathing and they lose their focus and their concentration. So when the gate drops, mentally you're not ready. The best thing you can do is sit there, calm yourself, whatever that may be. Like I like to pray on the gate and then breathe. I breathe out of my belly, not out of my diaphragm. It helps get rid of my nerves. And I try to stay as loose as possible, get maybe the jitters out or whatever it may be. And I get myself on the front of the bike, and I'm ready, and I rotate my hips back, so that way it won't, when I do let the clutch out, there isn't anywhere to move, like it isn't going to throw you back or anything like that, you know, it's right there. And I look at the front of the gate. Some people look at the pin. The pin is the first thing to move, and it's the little bar that holds up your gate. I guess every gate's different, but most of them are pretty consistent with a pin. And some people like to watch the pin because it is the first thing to move. But I have a tendency to come out crooked if I look at the pin because you go where you look. So I like to look at the front of the gate, and there's normally a little mark or whatever you can find to concentrate on. And I try to breathe, you know. That way my reaction time's always quick and consistent, and I normally come out straight. I also like to start with 2 feet down. I do start in second gear, so I don't have to get a quick shift. Like some people on 125s have to start in first gear and shift as soon as they go over the gate. And that's the only real reason you should start with 1 foot up. Other than that, you should have 2 feet down. That way you're going to come out nice and straight. And that's the straightest way to the first turn and the fastest way to the first turn. If you combine all those techniques,